We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 286. I'm your man behind the microphone and your current reigning and defending Scholars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, Scholar Jeff. To my right, the current reigning and defending Scholars of Wrestling Party Champion, Scholar Tarek. How's it going tonight, sir?
I've had better nights.
As I'm sure you have as well, the returning Scholar Brian.
There are no words, yet there are many.
Okay, right now, before we continue, there are good words. Excuse me. You're back from oblivion! Oh, where the hell have you been? You're not dust anymore! Bruce Banner saved your sorry ass. I'm so happy you're back, you crazy son of a bitch. Okay,
And he saved my ass just to dump me in hell.
Yes, for a little bit of context. As soon at the time of this recording, we are only mere hours removed from the 2020 edition of WWE Super Showdown and all that implies. So on the upside, we do have the next AEW pay-per-view Revolution on the horizon. But before we get to that, just given the timing of it all, we do need to address the elephant in the room, and it is the fallout.
Or the pig on the shirt.
The pig on the shirt, yes. The fallout from Super Showdown, which of course included the Fiend Bray Wyatt losing his Universal title to Goldberg. Take me back, gentlemen. I was watching live.
This was a show that would have been one of the better Saudi Arabia shows if the last match didn't happen. This is the definition of a main event can kill a show. Okay. Everything leading up to it was inoffensive. Okay. Did I like Corbin versus Reigns? No, but I haven't liked that since the beginning of time. If they're gonna do it, as long as it's not horrible, I can deal. That's it. So it's like, okay. And then Tarek shoots a text through the group chat that makes everybody go, uh-oh. Because while this show was going on, Wrestling Observer Live, the website, announced that there was a change made to the matches at WrestleMania. There were plans changed to John Cena versus Bray Wyatt and Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. And you read that and you're like, uh-oh. Because you're hoping that the WWE will do the right thing. But we need to remember the animal we're dealing with here. As soon as you read that, you know from the start that the title is changing hands. So we're going into this thing scared, worried, except for this one,
I still thought the best. I was like, there is absolutely no way that they're going to do what I think they're going to do.
At the beginning, everything was fine. And then how I found out that Bray Wyatt had lost was, fuck, everything is not fine. Because
who could have ever said such crass words?
If you could believe it, this guy.
Tarek, how dare you? Such a potty mouth. My goodness. My goodness gracious.
Because indeed, they did exactly what we thought they were going to do on the edges over here. Horrible.
I never expected them to actually do something so foolish. I had such confidence and such goodwill built up after the way that the last Saudi Arabia show went down. I took that as a genuine sign of good faith and just knowing what the audience wanted. And now this was, simply put, it was shocking. Simply shocking.
In a matter of 5 minutes, okay, you completely killed any excitement that I had for WrestleMania. All of it. All of it gone. In the blink of an eye. I don't care. It's hard to care about such good build-up as Edge versus Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar when you know in the back of your mind, okay, you still have this bullshit coming up. Because let's not get it twisted, okay? This was for one reason and one reason only. Vince wants Roman in the main event. The main event of WrestleMania. Paul Heyman and almost everybody else in the company wants Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar to be the main event. How do you get Roman Reigns to be in the main event? Apparently not the Fiend. Apparently you gotta hotshot the title to a legend. And that's how you get Roman Reigns into the main event. Not a well built up story. It's not earned. It is not an earned main event. It is not. It is a case of Vince was not happy that he wasn't getting his way, and this was a way to make it so that he got his way. Because there's no way that Roman versus Goldberg doesn't main event a WrestleMania. That's just not. That as much as we hate it, that in Vince's eyes, that's a money match.
Fool, your reactions and thoughts on these shenanigans falling out of Super Showdown.
Honestly, it really stems well beyond past the Fiend Bray Wyatt losing in a matter of minutes to 4 spears and a botched jackhammer. I think Adam Pacitti said it best with his tweet. 53 years old. I get that nostalgia sells, but if WWE don't start building stars now, then in 20 years' time, they won't have any nostalgia left to sell. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he has a picture of Goldberg with it. But in all honesty, it was even more than just Goldberg on this show. In all honesty, I wasn't a big fan of this show. Not a lot. Actually, close to none. The kickoff show, the Viking War Raider Experience lose to the OC, a team that has been recently made to look like complete punks. And you have the Viking War Raider Experience in one of the big storylines, so you would assume they should be kept looking strong with this feud. But it's also the fact that this is a glorified house show, so all rules are out the window, apparently. And then you have the gauntlet match. I don't remember the name of the trophy off the top of my head.
Who cares?
Big ass trophy thing.
That's it. It was a fun match. It's hard to really take it seriously. And then it stemmed on AJ Styles. He looks like he's getting a sure victory. But then they do the whole stupid storyline. Honestly, I didn't like this at all. And this is coming from me, who is a big Undertaker guy. I didn't like when they gave the idea of AJ Styles versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I was all for it. I'm thinking, okay, Undertaker, obviously not as young as he used to be. It's going to be hard for him to move around. So give him someone who, a very safe worker, and you can't think of anyone better than AJ Styles. And then it's just the execution on getting there is just a complete dud. In my personal opinion, AJ Styles should have won this match, but they used it as a catalyst to set in stone Undertaker versus AJ Styles, with Undertaker saving Rey Mysterio, but taking this opportunity to insert himself into the gauntlet match and win the damn thing. This is almost as bad as Brock Lesnar inserting himself in the Money in the Bank ladder match to win the Money in the Bank contract. The only reason it's not as bad is because a superstar who was in the match was taken out, so Undertaker could be put in. But compared to the Money in the Bank, where Brock Lesnar's just like, no, I don't care. I'm just putting myself in, and I'm winning. And then WWE is just like, okay, he won. And then, sorry, fool, but I'm still going. Speaking of Brock Lesnar, you have Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet, which, to be honest, nobody expected Ricochet to win. It was terrible build for this match for Super Showdown.
In fact, this was pretty much what I expected it to be.
I was hoping that, because we all knew he was going to lose, I was hoping that this was going to be at least make Ricochet look good in defeat, the way he's done with Daniel Bryan, the way he's done with AJ Styles. But that wasn't the case. This was, and most people are calling it, a complete burial of Ricochet. To be fair, he didn't get the Kofi treatment of just one F5 and it's over. He had actually went over a minute, but that still stems on going to what Pacitti said on his Twitter account. You have basically old part-timing nostalgia acts completely destroying your current roster to the point where no one's getting invested in these characters. No one's getting invested in these wrestlers. So now when they're actual nostalgia acts themselves in the future, no one's going to give a shit. No one's going to give a shit about any of them. And then you look at Bray Wyatt, someone who since SummerSlam, hell, since the ending of last year's WrestleMania when they started the Firefly Funhouse video packages, he was built as an unstoppable monster. Someone who took a limited amount of curb stomps, who got buried in a whole bunch of shit in Hell in a Cell, who the person had to call off, and yet he still came out and took out Seth Rollins. He destroyed Seth Rollins. He destroyed Daniel Bryan. Now it just made all of those guys look bad because you have to have a 53-year-old man completely break out of his mandible claw, something that they were building to protect as a devastating move. He just broke out of it like it was nothing. 4 spears, a bullshit jackhammer. And there you go. You have a 53-year-old man winning the Universal Championship. You have 2 part-timers as your world heavyweight champions. And you question why people are turning away from this company, from this product. People are shitting all over the good stuff that it comes, like NXT, because of shit like this. And then it comes to the realization, this whole thing is not for us. It's not for you, it's not for me, it's not for the people putting their money into this company. It's for Vince McMahon. It's all for him. And even Roman Reigns himself has said, nothing against Bill Goldberg. He would rather face The Fiend because he wants to look into the future. Vince is not looking into the future. He's stuck in the fucking past. Let it go. Move on. What more do you have to do? How many more people have to not buy tickets to WrestleMania? Something that hasn't happened in a long time. You have not sold out a WrestleMania. Something that's guaranteed to always sell out. What more do you have to do? This whole thing has broken me. I can't take this shit anymore. It makes me look at all of professional wrestling and just be like, you know what? What's the point?
Why am I getting invested in anything when it all means jack shit? And all of it.
I will have, believe it or not, I actually have an answer to that. I want to first say that I agree with everything you've said. You are fully, again,
Man, I actually did not mean it to go on a tirade like that, but
you know
the more
what?
I kept going, the more angry I got thinking about it.
Because, let's face it, you're in the same boat as all of us. Whether win, lose, or draw, you can't help but care because you love wrestling. That's the bottom line. Now, because you love wrestling, because we all love wrestling, the displeasure has been virtually unanimous across the board. However, that being said, there have been some voices that are not so quick to necessarily dismiss this and see a positive side to all this, or at least what they can do. At least when it comes to The Fiend. I spoke to one fan immediately after this event was over, and I said, yeah, unfortunately, Bray Wyatt lost to Goldberg. And this person was like, oh, yes. I was like, wait, what? Said,
Was it Jaybird?
no, this was a more casual fan who shall remain nameless for the sake of protection. This fan said, you know what? I was actually feeling kind of like, I felt that The Fiend was getting a little bit stale. Someone had to take them down eventually. Someone had to do it. And now they can move on to something else.
And that would have been fine. However,
Here, let him finish. Let him finish.
And so I was taken aback by this. I thought, like, wait, really? But it shouldn't have lost. He shouldn't have lost to a 53-year-old Goldberg. I don't care if he is Goldberg. It's after all that, like my thoughts mirror yours. Like, it should have gone to someone if he had to be taken down eventually. It had to happen.
It had to happen.
So I had to think of, okay, it should have just that. It had to happen eventually, but it should have been someone other than just a big nostalgia name like Goldberg. It should have gone to someone who is someone younger, someone more modern, who had the chutzpah or the intelligence to take down the Fiend. And I was offered the question, oh, like who? And I'll be very honest, I had a really hard time coming up with an alternate name. I thought of Aleister Black, but he's like, I don't think he's really there yet. And I feel like this, in a way, it's not perfect, but it almost felt like Undertaker's loss of the streak. Like, it's one of those things where, yeah, you kind of thought that it had to happen eventually. This was more of a sure thing because, no one can be unstoppable forever. But for this, it got to the point where the build was so high and the appearance was so strong that two things became evident. Number one, if someone gets too powerful, eventually it just gets boring. Because I remember how I felt at that year's WrestleMania when the Undertaker lost his streak. I was honestly more bored by that match because it was, okay, here's another Undertaker victory. He always wins, Taker WrestleMania. The memes were real. But then I honestly, at that point, I liked the Undertaker, but I just didn't care about the match because the assumption was that, oh yeah, he's just going to win like he always does. 1, 2, 3. What? And so it was shocking. And then that's where all the arguments went. Like, oh, it shouldn't have been Brock. It shouldn't have been Brock. It could have gone to anybody else but Brock. But after thinking about it, this is one of those things where, again, I know for some people the jury is still out on this. But for me personally, I feel like I've heard the arguments for and against. These days, I agree that, you know what, this is probably for the best. If it had to happen, which, again, if you feel like it should never have happened, I'm not going to disagree with you. But if it had to happen, then it seems like a reasonable thing that that went the way that it did.
Here's the problem.
This is what, like Bray Wyatt, again, I'll wrap it up with this. I don't feel like there was enough build for very, very few people who could conceivably taken down the Fiend or given him his first defeat. The way it happened, there's a bunch of different ways I believe he could, narratively speaking, bounce back from this. If you're a fan and you feel like a lot of momentum was lost in this, I totally get it. But when it comes to just the timing of it, the execution, yeah, we all know why, on a meta sense, why this happened. But on the flip side, now that that is out of the way, the Fiend is also able to do more things creatively, number one. Number two, the pressure is off for anyone who takes down the Fiend. Now he can be taken down, but you got to bring it like no one, very few people in the world can bring it. And number three, really, this happened at a point before the Fiend got massively stale. And to some people, yeah, he seemed like he was almost close to getting to that point of being stale and repetitive. Now, unencumbered by the Universal Championship, he can do a lot more things. He can do virtually anything. Put in any sort of role. And I've even heard this speculation that he never should have won the title to begin with. He was just slapped together with Seth Rollins when he happened to have the title, and then, well, a character that hot, you can't have him lose then. Otherwise, you get Hell in a Cell from last year. So they pretty much booked themselves into a corner, gave the man what he deserved very quickly, and here we are. Was it ideal? No. Was it the best? Probably the best idea? Far from it. But at the very least, I can see both what they were going for and the positive and the potential upsides of a situation like this. I get why people don't like it, and I'm right there with you, but I still have some reasonable hope that there's still something good that can come from this.
I respect your attempt to make people feel better about the situation we are in.
Well, in all fairness, I kind of have to be this way because one person here may have dropped $2,000 on a SummerSlam travel package and is desperately trying to cling to some measure of optimism so he doesn't waste his damn money.
Which is why I'm not going to
Full
rip
disclosure, really.
Which is why I'm not going to rip into your opinions that you've just stated on the thing in your section over here. But agreed, if you don't have a set plan when you have this guy start going on his run to who's going to take the title off of him, who's going to be the first one to take him down. If you don't have that set plan, you do not put your title on him. Because this backlash is on the WWE. Mm-hmm. It's on Vince McMahon because, I'm sorry, okay, whatever momentum the Fiend had back from the Hell in a Cell misstep, that everyone was like, oh, this is the end of the Fiend. You screwed it up already. That deal. All that goodwill that you got back, hey, guess what? It's gone again. He just got beat by a 53-year-old man, 4 spears and a jackhammer, and not only did you make Bray Wyatt look bad, every person he took out when he first came in, You made Finn Balor look bad. You made Seth Rollins look bad. It doesn't take much to make him look bad these days, but you made it even worse today. And you made Daniel Bryan look bad because the person who was able to take down the Fiend was Bill Goldberg. That's it. So that's where my real problem comes in. Okay? Yeah. Bray Wyatt, it's a thing that's been done before. Okay, this has happened many times in the past. They hotshot the title onto a big name so that you could get a big money match. So you could get a big money match at WrestleMania, whatever. Happens every year. So it's like, okay, fine. Okay, but you ruined the best character you've had. All the goodwill you got back, it's gone again. Okay, and it's going to be very hard to get that back because of how he was beat. Okay, and in the process, you made a big part of your roster look bad by having Goldberg beat him the way that he did. It's not even the fact that Goldberg beat him, it's the way that he beat him. Like, it was easy. That's it. So you're like, you're going to have to bring it. You're going to have to bring it hard. Apparently not. Apparently not really. So it's like, and here's the other thing. Okay, this whole thing where it's like they're setting up John Cena versus The Fiend, and that doesn't need a title. Okay, Roman Reigns versus Goldberg doesn't need a title either. Okay, if you build up a match and you build it up right, it doesn't need a title. But, okay, it lessens the stakes of a John Cena versus The Fiend match. Okay, the stakes now is The Fiend, what happened at WrestleMania, how long was it, 5 years ago?
It was WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, that John Cena beat Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, and that was the beginning of the end of that version of Bray Wyatt. Okay, that was the one that could have put Bray Wyatt over big. It could have made him a star. We wouldn't have to be going through this again. He would have already been made, but John Cena made him look bad at WrestleMania. So the Fiend now wants John Cena, and there's your WrestleMania match. That's all you've got right now. Now imagine if the Fiend has the title. Okay, John Cena is going for the record-breaking title run at that point. Okay, the stakes are huge in that match. You don't have that anymore. Instead, you have Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, spear for spear, 5 minutes, we're done, we're out, that's your main event of WrestleMania. You have officially made me and a whole lot of other people, for the first time in a while, I don't care about WrestleMania. I don't. We're in the build-up. We're in the final stretches. I don't care.
On the bright side, what we do have this weekend, an AEW pay-per-view. Something that that's I find to be tremendously, deliciously ironic. That WWE would make such an unpopular move like this on the eve of a major AEW show.
It's not the first time.
I know. It's not the first time. We're starting to set a pattern here, and it's getting a little ridiculous, but you know what? If this sets the stage for something immensely better for the fan base, I'm all for it.
And the good thing about this pay-per-view, okay, it shows how the setup for AEW pay-per-views is so much better than the setup for WWE pay-per-views, because I care about every single match on the main card. And there's no result here that will piss me off.
And not for nothing, if you were able to see the go-home show of AEW Dynamite Kick, they just about, by the end of the show, just about every single storyline, they all made an appearance. Every single match on here has storyline going into it, and there was some lead in to some degree. There was a lead up to everything.
The company makes you care about every single match on the main card. It makes you care about the characters it doesn't put people on a show just for a payday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's actual build-up. You care about the storylines. You care about the people in them. Okay, and it's rare that you get that in a wrestling show nowadays.
And it's also monumentally refreshing. So, with that being said, let's dive right into something presumably a hell of a lot better. This is AEW Revolution, the prediction show for the number one contendership for my Scholars of Wrestling World Championship, starting with the pre-show match of SCU versus the Dark Order. And since I am the champion, I'm assuming I'm going first, as always.
Yep.
All right.
That's the rule.
That's the rule, and that is what I shall do. I shall kick things off with, I am going to go with the Dark Order for this, because it seems heavily implied that their higher power,
The Exalted one.
the Exalted One, that the Exalted One is going to be showing up imminently. So in my mind, it seems a little bit silly that the Dark Order would lose this one. Like, SCU is SCU. They're tight with the Elite. They're going to be doing just fine, and they already are the first ever AEW Tag Champs, so they'll be okay. But for now, the Dark Order takes this one.
I am also going to go with the Dark Order for everything you just said.
Why don't you tell me how you really feel?
And I'm going to go with the Dark Order, basically because while I was complaining about Super Showdown on Twitter, I got an offer to join the Dark Order. And,
of course you did.
And it's one of those, and this is one of those where nobody was really into it when it first came out because it was awkward. Nobody knew what was going on yet and all that. And they were like, hold on, we've got a plan. It's all going to come together. You'll see. Okay. And they were right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm invested in the Dark Order, mostly because they started bringing in this Exalted One, who's the actual leader, and I like that they're messing with. It's a red herring, Christopher Daniels. What they're doing with Christopher Daniels, and like he's never around when they're getting attacked by when SCU's getting attacked by the Dark Order. It's a red herring. The Exalted One is not. I don't even think the Exalted One's in the company yet.
I think I see where you're going with this.
I'm not gonna say that it's Matt Hardy, but
I'm not saying it's Matt Hardy.
The Exalted One,
but it's Matt Hardy.
Yeah, the way that they've been building up that it might be Christopher Daniels the whole time, it's too much on the nose. You know what I mean?
I like the fact that they've been throwing multiple red herrings on this one. It could be like they had Raven.
They had Raven sitting in the
audience.
crowd.
They had Raven. Christopher Daniels, as you said, isn't around when SCU is getting attacked. The obsolete comment made on the Go Home show. Like there were a lot of it could be anyone, and it just jokingly imagine if it actually is Brody Lee.
Yeah, right.
Because he was the only one that actually has zero real hints about it, and it's just like
all right,
random out of nowhere.
All right, here's a little Scholar's quick talk. All speculation and red herrings aside, who would you want the Exalted One to be for the Dark Order? You had the pencil. You're the booker man. Who would you put as the Exalted One?
Matt Hardy.
I would also pick Matt Hardy.
Yeah, Matt Hardy.
Just because I want to see more of the Broken Universe. I think this would be a great vehicle for it. But all that being said, now we get into the rest of the card proper, starting with a match that I honestly didn't even know was on the card until today.
And you're missing
because it was just announced. a day ago.
Okay, then. So I didn't miss too much.
You do have another match missing on your list, though.
Well, do we want to tell
Yeah,
me what
because
that
it's
is?
Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander
Yep.
Oh, I did want to
for
say.
the women's title.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why didn't I not put that down? I don't know. All right. Well, Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander.
I guess I'll go first. Nyla Rose, she just won the damn thing. Statlander is going to get a good showing. But it's too early for her to go anywhere with this. I feel like she needs to build herself up a little more. I mean, she was kind of going into... they had some build that they were going for, what was it, New Nightmare, before they dropped that gimmick.
Oh, the Nightmare Collective?
The Nightmare Collective. New Nightmare. I'm all over the place.
Wes Craven.
I'm all... It's funny, I actually haven't watched that recently, and it just still pops in my head. But yeah, Nyla Rose is gonna take it.
Yeah, the only way that I can see Chris Statlander winning is if they're building to Britt Baker taking the title off of her so that she can be top heel in the women's division. But yeah, you don't put the title on Nyla Rose to be a transitional champion. That's not how that works. Chris Statlander will put up a good showing, but you're Nyla.
Just Nyla?
Nyla.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Nyla. At first, I'll be honest, part of me wanted to go with Chris Statlander on this, just because I feel like there's a serious dearth of people who can legitimately challenge Nyla at this point. But I'm just going to go with Nyla anyway, strictly because she's given off some serious Goro vibes.
Also, Brian, did you pull that trans champion joke? Or as a joke?
Did I say that?
You said you said transitional, but I just
No, that wasn't even where I was going with it. Oh man!
Boo.
It's like, come on, Brian. Don't pull a pun like a trans champion.
I didn't even mean it like that. And like you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I'm just like, it's what? Oh no! I'm like,
Hey, someone had to say something like that at some point, and let's face it, this is the internet wrestling community. I'm sure a lot worse things have been said at this point, but
oh yeah, just look at the comments on Chris Jericho's Instagram post of him doing the Talk is Jericho with Nyla Rose. It's a cesspool, man. Oh,
that's why for now I'm just going with Goro vibes. Anyway, now back to the original match I was going to bring up.
This is where you fall down.
You know what? There's your next feud. The next challenger for Nyla Rose's women's championship, Penelope Ford. You know where I'm going.
She'll
with this.
get eaten.
No, you take Nyla Rose goes up to Penelope Ford, crushes her glasses, and she'll be like, "Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole."
As soon as you said it,
Come
I'm
on.
like, I knew where he's going with this.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Almost as funny as who I was going to say the real exalted one was.
What?
I was going to say the real exalted one was going to be
Rio?
No. El Dandy.
El Dandy.
Oh, Dandy.
El Dandy.
El Dandy.
El Dandy always wins. Who are you to doubt El Dandy?
I'm like, I built the joke up. I gotta execute. Why am I brain-farting with this one?
Speaking of never doubting, we've got this potential mismatch, but also tremendous.
This one's gonna be fun.
We've got the bastard Pac versus freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy.
The sunlight to my doodles.
What?
The sun to my doodles.
Oh. Old references. I get
Orange
it.
Cassidy always brightens my day because he's the son of my doodles.
Brian, who's the son of your doodles in this match?
Okay. The fun that I would have if Orange Cassidy beat Pac, and Pac was walking around like when he lost the title, the Cruiserweight title, at the end of his run in the WWE, and he was walking around like he couldn't sleep. Like he was all messed up in the brain, and he just didn't know what to do with himself. I'm like, I would love to see that better written in AEW, but I can't actually predict it.
I was about to
I'd
say,
go with Pac.
Are you insinuating that you're gonna make Pac into Curly from Hey Arnold after Eugene returned his pencil?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. All I could think about was Eugene chewing on my eraser. Eugene. Sharpening.
Yeah,
Sharpening.
But it's one of those like I would love to see that kind of thing.
When I pull references, I make sure they connect, man.
Damn right.
It's like I would love to see that kind of storyline. Like Pac is like, I lost to this guy. Oh, where is my life? What am I doing? But I can't do it because who I've got winning later on, I think that they're gonna build to something with them. So, Pac.
Well, you know what? Screw it. It's so crazy. I've been wrong about this kind of thing before. Oh, they'll never lose. That will never happen. You know what?
He's gonna do it.
I don't really have a good precedent this week, so
He's not gonna do it.
screw it. Orange Cassidy.
Wow,
did
he
it.
actually did do it.
He went and did it.
He went and did it. Wow.
He doesn't have to worry about anything. He's not defending the title, so he's going crazy.
There's a chance. We live in a post-Undertaker WrestleMania streak, post-Fiend Universal title world.
Why would you bring it up? We're in a
We're
good place.
living in crazy land now.
Honestly,
Orange Cassidy's got a chance.
Trust me, I have counter arguments to what you said before, but that's for a whole different discussion. But yeah, why?
Making a point about the unpredictability and how we can be wrong. Especially given the yes.
I love Orange Cassidy to death, but yeah, I cannot for the life of me see Pac losing this.
Oh, he's definitely gonna try. We're gonna get to see
Oh, we're
Orange
actually gonna
Cassidy
see
go out.
We're gonna see Orange Cassidy actually, wrestle.
But then he's gonna try to pull some of that dumb shit, and Pac's gonna go crazy.
Oh yes.
That's it.
All right. Next match, we've got Darby Allin versus the Spanish God, Sammy Guevara. This is another one that I feel you could make a case for it going either way. For this one, though, I'm going to go with Darby Allin just because they seem to be absolutely building up as a really new fan favorite. And let's be real, there's going to be some shenanigans happening later on in this show. And not for nothing, at the go-home shows, Sammy Guevara seemed to be getting the better of Darby Allin. So traditional wrestling booking logic says this Saturday at Revolution is going to be Darby Allin's night.
I see Sammy Guevara winning this one. I feel like we need like the good heel victories. It's hard to really explain it.
I think we're gonna get a few good heel victories in this show. That's why I'm going with Darby Allin on this one, because I feel like Sammy Guevara is the annoying Dolph Ziggler of AEW. He's there to sell and get the face over by any means necessary. And that's going to be his role here. He took him, and also just the build of the whole story, building up. Sammy Guevara is the one who injured his throat, the one who has caused him not to be able to speak. So he's doing the flashcards, he's doing all that, and then he comes back, does the challenge, and then Sammy Guevara takes him out again during the weigh-in. So, in this case, I think they're building Darby Allin to be like their next top babyface, their next guy, their homegrown guy. So, in this case, I think you put Darby Allin over here.
Your prediction is Darby Allin?
Darby Allin.
I just feel like that
as I was trying to get out, but for some reason I couldn't. I feel like this needs to be an inner circle, strong night for them.
I think
I
actually
actually feel like
I feel the opposite because they had their pay-per-view, their coming out party was Full Gear. They got that pay-per-view, so I'm like, this is the one where they can start to lose a little bit. So
I'm just not there yet. I feel like they need to just continue showing dominance. Dominance.
Yeah, that's just one.
It's
one
also
refreshing. That
it's also
so
a
many
little,
different ways.
But there will be a chink in the chain.
It's also it's also different for me because they've also technically, when you think about it, they've been running roughshod over the company for the last 6 months. Okay, it's different because of the way that they do their pay-per-view cycles and all that. So it's different from what we're used to. So while it doesn't seem that long that they've been ruling over the company, it's been about 6 months. It's been since the beginning of TV. So it's like...
Well, I'm even thinking there's got to be shenanigans in this one.
Oh, there's going to be shenanigans all over the
Oh,
place.
yeah.
This one's going to be, like, to the point... It's even considering what you have in your next match, it's just going to continue to bring on shenanigans that they're going to continue shenaniganing.
Oh, yes. Speaking of shenanigans, as reference, the next match we've got on here is Jake Hager versus Dustin Rhodes. Jack Swagger versus Goldust. Who do you got?
Man, it's very hard to say without going. Jake Hager. I'm trying to mix both of them together. No,
Screw that.
Jake Hager.
Screw that. I'm gonna do it. Jack Swagger. Because here's
Jake Hager is gonna do it.
Yeah, because here's
It's his first match.
It's his first match. This is the one. This is the one inner circle guy who needs to win. Has to win. If he doesn't win this match, what is he doing here? Why is he here? If he doesn't win this match, what is he doing here?
This is probably one of the easiest to predict matches of the night. Again, all signs point to...
Other than SCU.
And Dustin Rhodes is part of the Rhodes family. He's bulletproof. He can take losses to everybody. So Jake Hager, let someone in the inner circle look strong tonight.
Mm-hmm. That being said, that was easy actually. Next match, we've got the tag champs, Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks. The Elite Powers collide. Scott O'Brien, who do you got?
Kenny Omega was just in... No, not yet. Kenny Omega
Pen is in hand.
was just in one of the best TV matches I have ever seen.
Of course, it was an
on Dynamite with that 30-minute Iron Man match. And you don't see what I'm seeing here? Okay. There's your excuse. And there's what causes the friction to come to a boiling point between Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. Okay. The Young Bucks win because of the fact Kenny is still tired and from a grueling match just 3 days beforehand. And you could see it at the end of the match. Like, he could barely move. Like, it was an Iron Man match. You treat it like the end of an Iron Man match. And with the interview segment after that, with the Young Bucks ripping into Adam Page and Kenny Omega not really stopping it, if you will. At this point, if Adam Page turns on them, is it really a heel turn? At this point, with all the shit, that it feels like the Young Bucks are turning heel and pulling Kenny Omega along with them once Adam Page decides he's had enough and he takes no more. Okay. So, yeah, the Young Bucks win the titles here. and it causes. The question is, does Adam Page turn on Kenny Omega here, or does he do it on Dynamite on Wednesday? But this is the breaking point. Young Bucks win via miscommunication, via Kenny Omega's tiredness from his Iron Man match 3 days before a title defense.
Fool, who do you got?
I'm also gonna go. I'm also gonna go with the Young Bucks, and I actually, for some reason, I'm just seeing it as I see Adam Page. Looks like he's about to start the match. Maybe one little bit of like chain wrestling, and then just tags himself out and just goes and has a beer with everyone in the audience, and just leaves Kenny Omega to just wrestle the match by himself. Maybe there'll be some kind of backstage where it's like, so you think you can just do it all by yourself? You have this Iron Man match trying to show you how great you are? Well, let's put that, well, then what do you need me for? And then it just stems from that, him tagging himself out to the point of kind of like an utter jealousy type thing. He sees that he actually is coming back, and then, yeah, I actually see Page striking Omega down and just walking out.
Because it's also one of those.
I
Like,
concur for the record.
he's so.
Unanimous Young Bucks.
The Hangman Page is so over with the character that he's got at this point. Even if he does what you said he was going to do, are they going to boo him? No, because
Absolutely
he's
not.
going to walk out to the crowd and just be like, Bear. Yeah,
He'll punch
Beer
Omega
is
out and
always
just goes
over.
back to the audience, not giving a shit.
yeah. So it's like, and then you can have the Young Bucks be the heel team that are their ego goes out of control because they beat Kenny Omega and they're now the best of the elite,
Yeah.
if you will. That's how I'd play it.
That'd be fun.
Now, speaking of fun, we've got probably what is the best slow burn feud that they've been doing for a while, or at least one of them in my eyes. MJF versus Cody. The match is here. I was going back and forth on this one too. This is a grudge match for the ages. I love the build. But you know what? I see this. I'm going to have to go with MJF here. As much as I think that Cody can probably get the win, and you can probably craft any number of reasons why, I feel like there's a number of reasons, but ultimately I feel like MJF stands to benefit so much more from this. And Cody seems to have no problem putting his own ego aside to build up other people for his company. And I believe this is no difference. MJF is a star waiting to happen. Cody already is the star. It's his company. He's already winning. And now MJF needs to win this one too. And if they want to ever revisit this in the future, pull like a Raven Tommy Dreamer thing where Cody has to fight even harder and harder and harder to get his victory over MJF. And then when it finally will happen, it will be tremendous. That being said, I'm going to have to go with MJF on this. There's too many reasons why it should happen that way. Could Cody win? Absolutely. But for now, I'm calling MJF. Fool?
Honestly, you took the words right out of my mouth. MJF needs this a lot more. Cody, he doesn't need it. He won't suffer from the loss.
Yeah. He is the most bulletproof man in the wrestling world right now. WWE, AEW, all of it. Like, book it now. I don't have to watch any more wrestling this year to know that Cody versus MJF is my feud of the year. Already. It's done. It's a lock. It's locked in. Okay. The deal here is they have a chance to make the biggest heel character in the last 30 years here at this show. They have a chance to make that happen, to solidify it. Okay, yeah, he's been playing a prick for years, but now this is your chance on a grand stage to solidify that you can win whilst being the best prick of the last 30 years in the wrestling business. MJF, there's no going back and forth here. MJF must win this match. Via shenanigans, of course. But it's not going to be clean. Can't be clean. Or else he's not the best prick in the last 30 years. Because he's got to win.
But what would be worse? If he won by shenanigans, or what if he beat Cody clean? Saying, oh
What
yeah,
would be
I didn't
worse?
have to do that. I just did it. I just did it because I'm better than you and you know it. I kept saying it all along. I just be a prick to you just because I can and it's fun.
That would be a different version of the MJF type heel that we've seen.
This is the
For
kind
years.
of expanded thinking that someplace like AEW can provide strictly because they're not under the WWE's vice grip. There's alternatives that we can explore here that we can't explore anywhere else. That we take that to whatever extreme and extent that you want, but I am convinced that we have a higher likelihood of seeing that kind of result in AEW in the here and now, especially at a show like this. Which brings us to our main event of the evening. Le Champion, Chris Jericho, versus Jon Moxley for the AEW title. Whose turn is it? Tarek, take us home. What do you got?
It's funny because I was talking about Inner Circle being built up, and then there's that one chink in the chain. I'm gonna go with Moxley. It's just more. I try and keep seeing if Jericho needs the belt anymore. No, I think he's now, he's basically prestigified that title to the point where he doesn't really need to hold it anymore. I think Jon Moxley is just the perfect choice for it. There's no other way for Moxley to go but just with that gold.
Yeah, the deal here is you look at all the other potential possibilities that can come if Chris Jericho wins, and they're not there. The way that they've built this match up, okay, the way they built Jericho versus Cody, the last pay-per-view, they were doing all kinds of other stuff with Jericho in between, like he was getting in these mini feuds and whatever, so you could be like, and so it's like there's opportunities there. There's stuff you could go back to and all that to do that. This, on the other hand, was 3 months of just Jericho versus Moxley. No one got in between it. No, there was no other deal. And you've been building up Moxley this entire time. He's never lost. He's never lost in singles competition, and the only reason he lost in tag competition was because he said fuck it and walked out. Okay, he's never been pinned, he's never submitted, and I don't think it's the right move to have his first pinfall or submission loss be to Chris Jericho. I think that should go to an up-and-coming heel that needs it, say an MJF, say a Kip Sabian or something like that. So, and I think AEW knows that, and they built it this way for a purpose. The only person who makes sense to take the title off of Jericho right now is Moxley. So it's like, even if he does lose here, what, are they just going to do another 3 months build and run it back? Okay, you haven't built up anybody else in the world champion position. So to have a build ready to go for somebody else for the next pay-per-view. Whereas in Moxley's case, you can run him with Pac Okay, you have a ready-made thing. You have a ready-made loss for Moxley. Moxley can lose the title to Omega in the return match whenever they have that. I'm like, there's more story possibilities with a Moxley championship run at Revolution than there is possibilities with a Jericho retain. So therefore, make the move. Strike while the iron's hot. You'll if John Moxley loses here, I won't go as far as to say it's a Fiend type thing, but I'm like, if you built it up the way that you did and you don't strike now, okay, when he does win the title at the next pay-per-view, it's not gonna mean as much as if he does it here. And think about the badass image, man. The eye patch with the title.
It's a fun visual.
It's a fun visual. Gotta do it. And the pay-per-view Johnny eye patch with the title. Yeah, man, do it.
Yeah, honestly, I can't disagree with any of that. Just because of how much they've been building up John Moxley and treating him like he is their Austin, like it seems a little too obvious. That's this is a must-win situation for John Moxley, for all the reasons that you said and more. There's just the setting is too right, and this unlike some other companies that we've mentioned in the past, this is one company who knows when to capitalize on a good thing, and it seems like they're perfectly poised to do exactly that. So, all that being said, those are our predictions for AEW Revolution for the number one contendership for my Scholars of Wrestling champion.
And there is a difference. So we do have something to care about on the
Yes.
show.
If only one match
It's all down to
determines the number one contender.
It's all down to Guevara versus Allen. Who's gonna walk away with the number one contendership? Who's gonna win between Darby Allin and Guevara and every other match in the show? You've heard what we have to say. Now we want to hear from you, our listening, viewing, our audience, all other of the wrestling community around. We want to hear from you. So drop us a line all across the internet. Leave us a comment here. Find us on Facebook there. Or join in the conversation on the Twitter machines today. You can start off by checking us out on our main account at ScholarsOW for all the latest episode uploads, including the occasional ice cream review. Or you can just join the conversation directly on our personal Twitter accounts, starting with Fool. Where can I reach you?
Well, first off, that was a very cute video of the ice cream sandwich.
Oh, you thought it was cute? Oh, thank you.
I liked it. It was
Thank you.
adorable.
Adorable.
All right.
Aw.
But you can reach me at the Avatar.
Brian, where can I reach you?
You can reach me joining the Dark Order at Atomic Beanpole.
And you can reach me, your current defending champion. What? I'm Rob.
You can't even say it right.
I don't need to say it right. I am the champion, damn it.
You'll get it right.
At I'm Robbie Rage. Join the conversation, because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome. See you all at AEW Revolution.